Yeah, now they can see the us, both of us. They can see. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, very good morning to all the participants, and it is our great pleasure to have you all here for Knowledge 4.0 webinar series, which is one of the unique initiatives of Chennai Institute of Technology under the guidance of our Honorable Chairman, Sri P. Sriram, a successful first generation entrepreneur, a well known industrialist, and managing director of MK Group of Companies. Under Knowledge 4.0 series, we have been conducting webinar series such as Technical Webinar Series, Research Webinar Series, Career Guidance Webinar Series, Alumni Webinar Series, and Innovation Webinar Series. And today we have Technical Webinar Series titled Calculus Origin Basic Concepts and Applications in Real Life, which is going to be handled by Dr. Satyajit Roy, Professor, IIT Madras. And Chennai Institute of Technology was established in the year 2010 by our Honorable Chairman Sri P. Sriram, and now our institute is being ranked within top 10 institutes among private engineering colleges in Tamil Nadu. And it is a great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Satyajit Roy. He is currently working as professor in IIT Madras in Department of Mathematics. Sir has completed his PhD in IIT, that is Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, and his research interests are conductive heat and mass transfer, computational fluid dynamics. And sir has worked on several research publications, and he has guided several PhD theses and 20 students for MSc thesis and 15 students for MTech thesis, and also working on PhD thesis guidance. And now I hand over the session to Dr. Satyajit Roy, sir. Sir, over to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So I think good morning to all. I cannot see, but maybe they are seeing. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So
I will
so
sum up the questions from the participant side, sir, at the
uh,
end.
okay, no problem.
We
So
have a chat window. We have a chat window where I'll post.
okay. So now good morning to all. We plan to discuss about calculus, origin, some basic concepts, and some application. So I have to share the screen. Before that, I want to say a few things that now in this pandemic situation, there is no other go. People have to habituate with this online classes, online seminar, online discussion, everything online. This leads to motivation for self-study, self-understanding, and self-confidence. So now you can listen lecture from anywhere, but your all these self qualities are important. You have to increase these self qualities for this competitive world. Things will go very slowly. If you have any question, you can write it down. You can ask at the end. I only have to request the host to get your option when you want to ask the question. But anytime you have doubt, you can ask the question. First, try to understand what speaker is trying to convey you. Then analyze, think, and then ask your doubt. So I think we'll start sharing the screen, and then I'll be talking. Now I go for sharing the screen. I think you can see the screen at least host
Yes,
sometime
sir.
should respond to me so that I know that it is going on smoothly.
Sure, sir. I'm there. Well,
Yeah, you are
on
there,
my side,
others
I
are
can.
there, but at
Yes,
least
sir.
you tell. So we wanted to understand few things. It is not just I am talking, you are listening and forgetting. You have to understand parallelly. We have studied few things, we have understood few things, we are explaining to you. That's all the difference. So you try to see. We wanted to discuss few things about calculus. All of you know that once you join in engineering, first mathematics course will be calculus. And they want to teach you for one variable, several variable, and their application, and then next differential equation. So basically, starts with calculus. So why? What is the origin of this? What are the basic concepts you should understand? And maybe 2-3 application directly I'll tell. We can discuss how all are application of calculus. Whatever you see, all are application of some way or other calculus or algebra. Any something you will understand about the mathematics application or mathematics concept overall in engineering. So let us fix the topic. Let us start with the calculus. What is the origin? How it appear here in all engineering colleges syllabus. Let us see. So next slide, you just try to understand the word. The word calculus is a Latin word that means stone. Arithmetic calculation in early days were done by using stone, similar to the concept one-to-one correspondence. You may be knowing when people do not know how to count the numbers, they used to use these stones, because suppose somebody is taking how many number of goat, that many stone they used to take, keep, while coming back, returning home again they used to match. So this is one-to-one correspondence in mathematics. So that is a very, very old story. Now at present, so calculus, the word, it is a Latin word, it means stone. At present, differential calculus may be viewed as the study of instantaneous rate of change. This instantaneous rate of change, this is very important. Whole calculus is based on this, to understand instantaneous rate of change. Without calculus, this is not possible. What is the use of this understanding instantaneous rate of change? You can see slowly. Actually, the study of calculus begins to understand the meaning of instantaneous. So calculus will give you everything at any instance. Algebra cannot give. We'll see. Very simple example you can see. For example, speed is the rate of change of distance travel. So suppose a particle moves 100 meter per second at a constant rate. What it means? It means 100 meter in first second, next 100 meter in next second, and so on. So if a man travel 200 kilometer in 4 hours, one should say that his average speed is 50 kilometer per hour. That's how the average rate of change is important. So this is average rate of change. You don't know in between what are all things happen. So simple algebra will help you to understand the above two concepts. One is constant rate of change, another is average rate of change. So there are two words, constant rate of, here it need not be constant, it is average. And here it is constant. So both we understand, constant rate of change and this average rate of change. Both are using algebra. You can get simple algebra will help you understand. But understanding of the instantaneous rate of change at a particular instant of time is only possible through calculus, for which one needs to know continuous and discrete variables. Now you have to come to the variable. So let us see some simple example. Suppose a particle is moving along the positive x-axis from A to B. A to B particle is moving. Now one wants to find the speed at P. So you can get average speed, distance AV divided by time taken, you get average speed, which is the average speed valid on the entire interval AV, entire length AV. Now you want to understand at P, so you can reduce that, you can go to A dash, B dash, and then again better approximation of the speed about P. So next, if you divide the distance by A dash, B dash, you get the average speed in ADAT, which is maybe better approximation at P. Now, to get the idea at P, what you need to do is you need to divide the distance between AB decrease to 0. That means you have to divide P divided by A dash B dash. A dash B dash distance becomes 0. So this leads to undivide. So here you can understand at one point, even if you know how the particle is moving from one place to another, you know how the particle is moving at one place to another, you may mathematically you may have a function of time, how the distance is covered. We'll show in little bit. But even then, if you want to divide by you will lead to some mathematical undefined quantity, which is some quantity divided by 0. Algebra fails to provide the speed at P. So at a particular point, algebra cannot help you to find anything rate of change. So to understand a little more this, if you want to see this example, a car is moving along the x-axis in such a way that after t second, it is st. So at t second, it travels st starting from origin, meter from the origin, where st is given 10 to the power cube, 10 into 10 to the power cube, 0 to 4. Suppose we are considering 4 seconds. So now, if you make a chart of that, you see that first second it is 10, distance travel 10 meter. Next second it is in 80 because 10 into 8, then 10 into 27, 10 into 64. So these are all. So if you see that first second it has traveled 10 meter, second at the end of second, that means it is second it has traveled 70, then 190, then this. So these are all fourth second it has traveled this much. Total how much in 4 seconds it has traveled? 620. Now, if you concentrate to find, you want to know exactly the speed. So everything is given, how it is moving from first second to fourth second. Now you are interested to find the velocity at t is equal to 2. From this table, it is not possible to find out the velocity at t is equal to 2 without using calculus. That's what we want to say. So now you want to say that average speed, let us see from first to second. So t is equal to 1 to t is equal to 2. That means second starting and ending, it has traveled at the second, it is travel 70 meter. So definitely the speed is more than 70 meter, the average speed. And here it is travel 190 meter. You see this right side, distance traveled in the third second. So velocity at 2 is less than 190 meter because third second it has gone this much. So it is in between 70 and 190. Now you reduce the interval because I have given a continuous function of t. So if you reduce at 1.99 second, it is this much meter per second. So velocity at this is greater than this. At average speed, if you take 2 to 2.01, 120. So you are here. Now this way you cannot reach at 2. You will reduce this third decimal, fourth decimal. But if you apply calculus, the study of calculus fine tunes the definition of instantaneous velocity at instant of time, at a particular instant of time. T is equal to 2. How we do it? The velocity is defined as the distance derivative of. So this concept of derivative. Then you write 30 t square 120. See, all average speed gives you some approximation, but it does not give exactly. But it is, the example is chosen such a way that velocity at time t is equal to 2 is exactly 120 meter per second. With this st, this is the velocity, and you can find at every point, every time, t is equal to 1, t is equal to 2.5, t is equal to 3. So algebra fails to provide the instantaneous rate of change of any quantity, not only distance, any quantity. So there you need to differentiate. So there is the first, which calculus only first started giving this instantaneous rate of change of any quantity. By algebra, you cannot, or any other mathematics, you cannot find out the instantaneous rate of change of any quantity, not only displacement, even velocity, how it is changing, we can find out. One more derivative, acceleration, we can find out. So everything is easy. Now we have to understand what is this quantity. So that's how the calculus starts. So let us, basic definition of calculus, I want to point out few things which you have studied everything in school. See, the school also, they can understand school. This is these algebra and calculus connection they can understand in school itself. Now, if I start calculus, how it starts? First definition is limit. So I want to find the limiting value of a function. What it says, it is denoted by this. Limit x tends to x naught fx is equal to L. What it means? That means if you give any positive number epsilon greater than 0, there exists, you can find out a number delta which depends on epsilon and x, such that for all x, this inequality, whenever this inequality holds, fx minus L less epsilon. Then we say that limit of fx as x tends to x naught is L. Now the course point is, whenever you see some book, many book, they will not have this part. This left hand side 0 greater than mod, this part will not be there. So you have to carefully study, because they think that this is a positive quantity, why should you write? But this is not a, mod is a not a only always positive quantity, it is non-negative quantity. So when what you miss is some book, this part you miss. Okay. So this part 0 less than mod x minus x naught, this part. That means when what it means, this part means that if you want to find the limit of a function at a particular point, then you need not know anything about that point. It is defining only in the neighborhood of that point. So there is nowhere x is, this inequality will not give you at any time x is equal to x naught. So if you find the value of a function, limiting value, then at that point, what is the value? It is immaterial to you. Only limit will not give any idea about the value of the function at that point. So now you see some example. This is very easy example one can see. Now this example, you see function fx is x not is equal to 1. But at 1, the value is 4. See this function, you see this function, what is the different first and second function? Only at one point the value is jump, there is a 4. That point is not defined here. So that point value of the function is, so these two function is equal except at one point. But the limiting value is same. Limiting value is same. So that point value, even if it is 4, both the function limit is 1. Because of this definition. So you come from left hand side, you come from right hand side, and then you see the value. You are not reaching the point. Never you reach the point. So this is one point in limit you have to understand. And then another example we have given, this limit does not exist. Because if you put here x tends to 1, very small, less than 1, then suppose 0.99 you put, then it will be negative infinity, and if you put little more than 1, it is positive infinity. So there is a high oscillation at x is equal to. So it has not reached any limiting value. Left side if you come, it will go to minus infinity, right side it will go to plus infinity. And at 1 it is not defined anywhere, and 1 is not important. Whether it is defined, not defined, it is not important for limit. So now here also you see the another function we have taken up to same fx is equal to x, and after x greater than 1 the value is 2. So here the limit does not exist again, because right side you come it will be 2, left side it is 1. So both are not there. So first you have to understand in calculus, try to draw the function in each case. Is the function defined? Is the function continuous? Is limit exist? All those basic concepts. Then after understanding limit, what is continuity? Now the value of the function at some point is coming. If you want to test the continuity at a point, that means if you come from left side, right side, and at that point all the values should be same. So your limit gives you left, right, and this is give you exact at that. So when you talk about continuity at a point, you must have some finite value at that point, and that should be same as the limiting value. Now, after understanding all this, so limit is the most important concept in calculus for everything. If you understand exactly limit what it is, then you understand whole calculus. Everything is limit only. So now limit can measure the instantaneous rate of change of a function at a point. Now, how we define fx is differentiable at this once it is differentiable, then that quantity measure the instantaneous rate of change. Fx is differentiable at this if this limit exists. Again, limit come in picture. Now, h tends to 0 means h can be positive, h can be negative. Both side this difference rate of change. If you go left side of x naught, right side of x naught, they are difference with x naught value, and these limits should exist. Again, whatever limit I saw, now differentiation is nothing but a limit. The limit of this quantity, only quantity is changed. So differentiation of fx at x naught is same as the limiting value of this. Now, if fx is differentiable at x naught, then fx is continuous at x. If fx is differentiable at x naught, then fx is continuous at x naught. This is continuity is the necessary condition for differentiability. Try to prove this. How to prove this? So you try to prove this. If fx is, we have asked many students, they will not be able to tell immediately. They know the result. So you have to understand limiting definition, how to prove. This is just one line. You have to just write this one, this minus this is equal to this by h into h. Then you take the limit, product of the limit you define, and then you go. That's all. So it is a two-line proof. So if it is a differentiable at some point, it is continuous at that point. So other part is not true. There are many examples. We don't go all those details. Just few concept only we are telling. So if fx is continuous at that, then fx may not be differentiable. An example to justify. Some example you should find out to justify that it is a necessary condition. Now this, if fx is differentiable at x is equal to x naught, then fx is continuous. This proof is not given in book. So you have to understand, and maybe teacher will do in class. Then another thing I want to tell, if fx and gx are differentiable, then their sum is differentiable. If each function is differentiable, then their sum is differentiable. But what about the converse? Suppose fx plus gx is differentiable. Is fx and gx separately be differentiable function? Prove or disprove. Whether both will be separately differentiable, or the other part. Book will give you this part. If fx gx are differentiable, then fx plus gx is differentiable. This is again the same Shewhart's inequality you have to use and the limit. But what about the converse? Book will not talk about the converse. So what about the converse? Suppose somebody has given the sum of two functions is differentiable. Is it always that separately function is differentiable? Prove or disprove. This is not true. Converse is not true. There are many examples you can see. You can take one is mod x, another is mod 1 minus x, 1 minus mod x. So if you add it, it will become constant function that is differentiable, but separately both are not differentiable. So two non-differentiable function you can add and make a differentiable function. But two differentiable function, if you add, automatically it will be differentiable. That's what the theory says. So now what it means geometrically? So geometrically means that slope. So it measures the slope, now negative slope, positive slope, all some graph is drawn. So you can measure the rate of change, will give you geometrically the slope. If you draw the car, then you get a slope. Now you come little more. There are two theorems important, everybody has studied, Rolle's theorem and mean-value theorem. The conditions are all known. If fa is equal to fb, then f dash is equal to c is equal to 0. So to try to understand this geometrically, what I want to say that both are same theorem. If you put fa is equal to fb, then this itself that you just see. So this is more general theorem. Both came separately, but both are actually the one theorem only. What it says that when fa is equal to fb, it is 0. You can put here and check. So what it says that if the function values are same at the end point, then it has to come back. So there will be some tangent which is horizontal to this. So try to understand all these theorems geometrically, so you need not have to remember the statement. And since you are able to draw a function should be continuous at everywhere, and you are talking about slope, so there should be differentiability in the open interval. At the end point, never you talk about differentiability, because at the end point there can be infinite tangent geometrically. So end point differentiation is not defined. So only open, here it is open interval, otherwise it is closed interval. So you understand the things geometrically, then you don't need to remember. Any time After 10 years also you can tell what is Rolle's theorem, what is, because it is a very, very old theorem, and it talks about the function. If it comes back to the same value, it has to have some tangent which is horizontal to the x-axis. That is the meaning. If a function starts from a value and come back to the same value at a later point, then it has a tangent whose slope is 0. That means parallel to the x-axis. It has a tangent parallel to the x-axis, whatever way you say. So that is all the total theorem about both. Now you see some example application. So now we are talking about instantaneous rate of change. Now thermometer, everybody uses. Everybody uses thermometer. What it does, it measures the temperature. So how it measures? I am given a simple model. It is not looking like your hi-fi, this body temperature measurement. Thermometer is measured outside temperature, anything. Now outside temperature, suppose I have to give initial. So what it does, it is measuring at each time temperature. That means you should have some idea about instantaneous rate of change of temperature with respect to time. Instantaneous rate of change of temperature with respect to time. So how do you do that? What is the mathematics in behind this? This is a very simple mathematics. So now you are in physics. Physics, you want to find out the temperature for everything, anything. So you want to construct something. So now there is a known liquid. There will be known liquid. For body temperature, there will be some mercury, some other temperature also mercury they can use. You can use any liquid here, oil. There are many varieties of things are used. Okay. Now why it is used different, that are also many analysis can be done. Now here physics has to apply. So how you get the temperature from outside? So the heat can move in, heat is an energy, it can move in 3 ways: conduction, convection, radiation. So thermometer use the property of heat, movement by conduction only. So a thermometer, it has to touch your body, then only it can measure the temperature. So from body, the temperature conducted to thermometer, and thermometer is showing the temperature. Very good. Now this conduction process, how do you know the law? For that some scientists has to work. So how the law is found? The nature is such a thing, if something is happening here, one experiment, you go to the USA, same experiment will happen, same result you will get. So science always, fact is same. So if you want to invent a thermometer, for that you need not move everywhere. You should know how the conduction temperature heat moves. For that you need to find law. So earlier, how they find law? They take one liquid and they do the experiment. There are 2 ways. Either you derive the law from physics and mathematics, from physical principle, or you do 1000 experiment and statistically found an empirical law. They are called empirical law. So now I'll show you the law. What laws? Here the application. This is the law. So Newton has given the law of cooling, that instantaneous rate of change of temperature can be connected with the temperature difference with the ambient. So ambient temperature difference, and this connection, this proportionality constant depends on many things. Density of the material, specific heat, this is Cp should be, specific heat, how it is, how much heat is required to expand that thing, and then the height of the parameter, then surface area, then volume of that, this volume, you see, volume. This C is actually Cp, specific heat at constant pressure. We are keeping the pressure constant here inside. This is vacuum. This is not vacuum, this is closed. So the pressure is constant. As is the surface area. Okay. So now this you should have this law. This is a physics written in mathematics by using the instantaneous rate of change calculus definition. So once you have this law, then you need to know the surrounding temperature. You can find out the surrounding temperature. So this will depend. Suppose I have some initial condition. Suppose I have some initial condition, I know the surrounding temperature. Suppose you take for simple some linear temperature profile. Okay. Then you see that whether your thermometer works to measure that linear profile. Okay. So for that, what you will do? You will do this. So this equation now you have to solve. So you got an ordinary differential equation because we are talking about only time, one variable. And then density, object, all these values you can get it. Now this one you can transfer in this side and make a linear differential equation. So now you have to do integration process. So now if you put this is this side, then you have to use these calculus laws, integration by parts. Okay. Now integration by parts, if you use, you get the temperature. Now you put any initial profile here, you get the temperature. So T0 is the initial temperature, beta is the rate how which it is increasing. So the surrounding temperature is changing, then you get this expression, then you put that expression and do the integration by parts, you get this. I think integration and all you people are very expert, so no problem. So after that you get this. Now there are this constant. Constant has to be found out with this initial condition Ti. T0 is got T is equal to 0. What is the temperature you have to know? Then you can find out. So this Ti minus T0 all. Now for example, you take some 0.03 centimeter radius and volume is 4/3. This is known, surface area known. So Ti initial temperature, this thing, this is 1000 kg per meter cube. This is specific heat is this much. All these data if you have, then you get this surrounding. Now what is the problem here you see? Now after all this is your linear profile. Outside temperature is going. This is you are capturing this temperature. There is a time lag. You see, there is a time lag. This time lag, see, along the surrounding temperature are provided on the next slide for 20 seconds. This is for 20 seconds you are giving. It clearly sees that thermometer reading follows lag behind the linear increasing surrounding temperature at any instant. For instant T is equal to 10 seconds. This is difference is 10 seconds, 140 and 150. 10 degrees you are getting difference. Now the bias in the reading due to transient behavior because from surrounding to the inside liquid, it takes some time to keep. Now that means if the surrounding temperature is continuously increasing, by the time it transfer the heat and measure the temperature, by the time again that was increased. So that time lag, you will not be able to measure. For that, what they do when you do the body temperature, do you remember? They put for some time. They will put, okay, you keep 1 meter, then it is fixed. And also, that is one way, it cannot come down unless you put a pressure. So that's the reason they keep some 1 minute. So 1 minute they hold. This is just one experiment and shown the outside temperature, linear increasing. But your body temperature is fever will not be increasing continuously. So it is just a fixed fever, 101, suppose you have fever. So you want to measure. So you keep for 1 minute and then you see that reach and then you take it out. So main principle is same. So what is the application you find mathematics? Mathematics application is just integration and all simple thing. But the main application is the physics. Who will give you this law, Newton's law? This is also known as Fourier law of heat conduction. This is separate places it has came out and both are same. Newton's law of cooling and Fourier law of heat conduction. So, by seeing the thermometer, you do not know that this law is applied here. Similarly, any fact you take, there are some physics. Physics will give you some mathematical law, or physical experiment will give you empirical law. Then you have to do the mathematics to find the solution, then verify the physics. Okay. So this is one simple example for ordinary differential equation. Okay. Now two variable if you want to see. So here, since the temperature outside is increasing, we are not able to catch. If it is not increasing, fixed, then we can catch. But generally atmospheric temperature also will not be increasing with respect to second. Maybe morning, evening it will increase like in hour. So that's the reason they give the temperature morning once, maximum minimum range they will be giving. Maximum minimum range they will be giving. But now this is a very simple. Now there are many other ways to find out. So you also can think. If this is your starting, you can think what other aspect is there, so that you can modify the instrument different way. Now the liquid change, so many things are there. You can see the temperature. Now they are putting in the head and finding temperature. So there are many things. Okay, so application has no end. It will be going complicated to make the life simple. Okay, so this is some one variable simple application. Now if you go for function of two variable, which also you have studied, few things you have to remember. The function is of xy. Now your domain is whole xy plane. Domain is whole xy plane, and then your range is, for this function can take only -1 to 1. So there are few things you have to know. Like one, this is not undefined quantity. Whenever people are, if I give you some function, what is the domain? Domain definition also you don't know. Domain means for those values of independent variable, function is defined. Function is defined. Function cannot be defined for any value of the variable, depending on the form of the function. I have shown you 4-5 form. Here xy 0 not is equal to 0 should be not is equal to 0 for this function. Then it is defined everywhere. See this only point. This is the range. This is the domain. Similarly, here origin is excluded. Here it cannot be negative. Then you will go to complex valued function. So for real valued function, so there are few point only, 2-3 point. If you keep in mind this 4-5 point, you know all function. That's all. Again, limit for two variable is a completely different thing than one variable. Because when you are moving in a line, you have only left and right. But when you are moving in a plane, you have infinite direction. And these infinite direction, how to take care. So here again, this will be less than, this will be less than. So you can be anywhere in the neighborhood. You can be anywhere in the delta neighborhood of the point, but the function will be only close to L with a distance epsilon. Now delta will depend on epsilon and xy both. If it is uniformly continuous, then it will dependence on xy will go, only it is epsilon. So I think limit, whatever you understand, you have to understand more deep to understand the application. To understand the application, you have to understand the definition, and you have to remember the definition fully, because this definition is not by one person, it is maybe running for many book, many things. Exact definition if you get from some book, you have to remember, you have to understand importance of each thing. So limit is defined like this, it is explained like this. So this is the notation, this is only the definition. Okay, definition means this is called analytical definition. Analytical definition of limit. Okay, this is the notation. So if it is L, this means this many things. So for any epsilon you give any positive number, I can find another positive number by which bound this independent variable. So the function also bounded by these L's. Now if you change epsilon, definitely delta will change. If you go to different x0, y0, delta will change. So delta depends on epsilon and x0, y0, both. Now if it is uniformly continuous, uniform limit, if it is everywhere uniform, then it is x0, y0 dependent goes only epsilon. So similarly, you have so many ways. See, this limit is this, how it is done, you have to understand. This will take so much time. If it is a teacher are only listening, then I can explain all these things little differently for any function. Only the problem is calculus, all example, people only see from book and then learn. Nobody is doing their own one example. This is only the difference. If you see the definition, you see only the definition from a book, everything else you should do on your own. You should write your own example and you should solve your example. That is not done anywhere. There is the problem. I can change example here, 2y square, anything I can do. and then I can show that this thing. So you should be able to, once you understand the definition, you should be able to. That is not happening. That's why people are studying so many books. But you should study any one good book, see the definition, and then study. You should be able to do it. You should hold one example for some time and think it and do it. Don't try to see how it is done and do. Then definition will not work out in your mind. So there are many. So once you understand all this is polar coordinate also. It can have, okay, because it is a not one line, it is a domain. So you can have polar coordinate, you can have any other coordinate system. So we don't go all those details. I am just seeing what are the things people should learn, or these are all there in the syllabus everywhere. But people have to understand a little bit. See, I have shown something looks like it is a limit exists, but here limit does not exist, because as r tends to, sometimes people will do r tends to 0, so it is showing 0. So the limit is 0. But r tends to 0 means what? R tends to 0 means it can go only to 0 for all theta. For all theta, theta is independent of theta, it can go towards 0. That means it is only ray coming as a straight line. Theta is, but theta is equal to constant, theta is held as constant, r tends to 0, then the limit is 0. But if you take a particular curved path, if it is curved path like this, then what happen? Any curved path you take, then the limit is half. So limit does not exist. If the limit exists means when all possible ways it is there. That you cannot check. So every time you have to check with the inequality only. So inequality only you have to check. I think here everything is there, all examples are there, you can check with everywhere. Now this is only the difference in that here nothing can be done. All exam, if one path and two path is different, you are able to find out two paths, two different values, limit does not exist. So limit does not exist showing is very easy. But limit exists showing means you have to show the inequality. This inequality you have to show, then only you can talk about limit exists. Like here, one example we have shown. Limit does not exist is very easy. You take two paths, here y is equal to, you can take here x is equal to m y square, and then m can be 1, 2, 3, depends on m. So like that, any two different paths, two different values means limit does not exist. But limit exists, 2 paths, 3 paths, 100 paths, 1000 paths is not enough. You have to show the definition for existence of a limit. So that becomes little tough. Now this is okay. Now there are some sandwich theorem for double variable also, same thing, where all these complicated limit can be calculated. Now here the problem is two different directions. So you can have change of direction in one direction, x direction, change of rate of change in y direction, all other like one variable. So this is like one variable, partial derivative is like one variable. Now here very important concepts are there. See, one example I have written, I think this example, fxy is 0 everywhere except on the axis. See, xy 0, x0, y0, or origin passing through the both the axis, it is 1 everywhere 0. Now you see f00 is 1. So if you show that both the partial derivative exist at origin, for this function both the partial derivative exist at origin, value is 0, but the limit does not exist at origin. This function limit does not exist, but partial derivative exists. So partial derivative and simultaneous limit has no relation. Okay. Here you see it is not continuous at 0, 0, because limit itself does not exist, so continuity no question. But partial derivative all exist. Similarly, we can show some example where limit exists, but partial derivative may not exist. I think example, here itself one more example is there. See, this example you see, here partial derivative does not exist, but limit exists, and it is a continuous function at the origin. So never relate partial derivative with simultaneous limit, because both are different concepts. Partial derivative, when you are talking of a single variable. But simultaneous limit, you are talking of both variable x, y at a time. So both are not there. So we can create many examples. That is not a problem. Just I kept 2 examples. This is not the exact slide for you for this seminar. This is a slide for our understanding. So from here we can give lecture many hours on this calculus, because nowadays only web. Now I with this example, everything to explain will take 15 minutes for one example. I can spend half an hour for this partial derivative, simultaneous limit, then repeated limit. So 2-3 slides itself we can go 1 hour for all calculus concept, two variables. And it is very interesting. We have done many times in VIT Velour. I have done for faculties, not for students. So that's the reason we are not showing all those things. So because here everything is there, whole calculus is there. Only I am not talking. I am just showing few things, and only application part I am telling. Similarly, if you want to find the derivative in a particular direction, not x parallel to x parallel to y, any direction, then this is the limit. Now, directional derivative everybody is teaching, but nobody is using this definition, which is the actual definition of directional derivative. What they are using, if the directional derivative exists, then you have this type of thing, like it is not even we are writing this type of thing. I think we are not writing directional derivative. Yeah, directional derivative, it is there. This is directly people are using. This is when this exists, then only this is valid. Directional derivative, this definition is valid when both exist. Both partial derivative exist, then only it is valid. Otherwise, actual directional derivative definition is this. Okay. So any function of xy is there, you want to find out at a particular point in a particular direction derivative, you have to use the limiting definition. This will tell you are moving along a particular direction, u1, u2. Okay. In this particular example, it is 1 by root 2i, 1 by root 2j. This is y is equal to x line, because y and x both are coordinates same. M slope is 1. Okay. So if you see this example, fx is x when x is equal to y, fx is equal to 0. Now different direction you find out the derivative. Along the direction this, derivative is this. Along the direction derivative is this. So different direction derivative is different at a point. Now can you guess what is the value of partial derivative at 0, 0? Okay. What is the derivative, partial derivative at 0? Definitely there is some problem, because once all directional derivative are same, partial derivative is same, then the function is differentiable. So we are not talking here total differentiability. So again, if you want to find out this, you use the definition of partial derivative. Don't try to link first. First you always you have to use the definition. Whatever result you get, then you see. I have shown you many times, if the partial derivative even exists, function need not be continuous. So there are many things are there. So you have to use only definition for that. Don't connect directly that, because some mistake may happen without understanding. So when all because partial derivative is a particular direction derivative. In the direction 1, 0, this is 0, 1. You can use the same definition and see. You put here 1, 0. u2 0, u1 1, you get the fx. u1 0, u2, this is same. So directional derivative is a general term. It includes the partial derivative. So sometime directional derivative, partial derivative may not exist. Partial derivative itself may not exist. So you can't find such cases. But if partial derivative exists, values and directional derivative need not be equal. But when all are equal, then only see this derivation. See, this example is given. This is a little complicated example. Is the directional derivative at 0, 0 in that direction this exists? The directional derivative can be written as this. This shows that definition shows that directional derivative does not exist. Okay, now you take other example and show all those things. So you can connect the partial derivative and directional derivative only when the function is differentiable at a point. Otherwise you can't do it. But all the books, they are showing that directional derivative, if you find out, partial derivative you find out, take a dot product, then this. This is definition is true only when the function is differentiable at that point. And after that, all the explanation are there. Okay, so this is two variable. We can find the rate of change in a particular direction. Total derivative also defined. All these things are there. So now, which industry use mathematics? Traditional industry users of mathematics are telecommunication, aerospace, everywhere. All mining, oiling, weather forecasting, all. But others as well could be real food, sport, entertainment, media, forensic service, and ARC, rescue, all these. What sort of mathematics traditional industry needs? These are all calculus, differential equation, mechanics, numerical analysis, matrix, complex number theory, graph theory, algorithm. Minimum this much is required. So everything is required. Now you see a very small example. In forensic mechanics, what they do, when there is a car accident, spot investigated about the speed of the car. What is the first question people ask? What was the speed of the car? And you will be seeing the news that they will be telling that it is 150 to 200 kilometers per minute. So it has exceeding the speed. Whether the car was the car speeding at the time of accident. This is important. They want to find out this so that they can find a fault on the driver. Now forensic, what is the evidence you have? Collision damage, how much the car has damage you can get. Witness statement, some witness may be there. Skid mark. So these two you can find from car damage, and skid mark will be there, and some witness statement. If you see, he cannot tell the speed, but he can tell something. What is happening? So all these three they will be considering. What is the mathematics they apply here? What is the evidence they have? Distance skid. See, once you may be seeing after accident, some people comes and they measure this distance. How much skidding is happened, this tire mark. They will be measuring very carefully this distance. This is very important for them. This, and then what is the speed they want to see? What is the brake force they can find out, because when you have a particular model car, they will tell you, the car company itself will tell you what is the force it can apply for a full brake. Generally, this much skidding means any accident, people will press the full brake only. So full brake, what is the maximum brake force they find out. Now mechanics links speed to the distance. This law everybody knows. Now V is equal to 0. Finally, the car has stopped. So this F is brake force that they can get from the company. S is the distance he has measured in meter or something. Then they found this quantity roughly. After measuring this quantity, the forensic evidence, they tell that the car was in the speed of 150 kilometer above 150 kilometer to 200 kilometer, because by some error, 5% error if you take, then they tell that it is above 150 kilometer. That much they tell. So just measuring the skid distance, one can find out the speed of the car at the time of accident. Thus, measuring the distance of skid and knowing the brake force. Knowing the brake force is very easy, because car you can see and the company you can get you the force, particular model of the car. One easily gets an approximate speed of the car during the time of accident happened at that spot. Okay, so this is one thing. So this is just simple school mathematics they apply, nothing else they do. And then if you are interested in application from the beginning, you may concentrate few things. Like when you are going in car, that 1 meter will be showing the speed of the car, how it gives the car. Can you generate something so that if it is moving and giving the speed, instantaneous speed? What is the way it gives? So all these are small connection. So you can just find out the things. Okay, some two-dimensional application you see. So which part of the food gets hotter in microwave cooking? The outside of the food or inside? Thermal image of solid food after 5 minutes heating shown below. Now from the temperature distribution, you can see that which one is getting heated first. Inside, this is the food kept in a vessel. Okay, this is the temperature. This is 100, below 100. So 96 or something, starchy food. Now, how you model this? How you measure this? It is just automatically cannot come like this. the scale and temperature. How do you know this? You cannot go there and measure. This is done simulation and then plotted. So what is the equation here? Now again, you have to have that electric produces heat. So there is Maxwell equation you can write for heat. So temperature variation. Again, temperature variation, this is the conduction term. This is the heat generation term. This is the heat generation term. So it is only written in approximate form, only x direction, not both direction. Okay, only time and x, one-dimensional model. And this is the condition, initial condition at x is equal to 0. Now, if you transient nature of the solution for small time, large time solution, steady state solution, after some time it will be final. So this is length is given, penetration is given. So you have to solve this heat equation in homogeneous heat equation. You get a only one direction. Now you have to solve three dimensional. Okay. So you can increase your model and then you can solve. So everywhere there will be some equation will come, differential equation, and rate of change calculus is responsible here. You will get some approximate value, and then you solve and you know the initial temperature and then the what is the force, P force, everything. If you know, then you can get and you can plot this. Then it is there. Nobody is going and now sometime to validate the model, sometimes some temperature may be fitted there and measured. Okay, but simulation result already shows that simulation result may be within 5% limit. It is correct only. So this is two-dimensional model. Now in this century, the application of mathematics will be driven in more complicated industry and engineering challenge. You see here CFD, here aerodynamic industry. So here it is image generation, here everything mix. Some networking, energy optimization, here weather forecast, here it is CFD, computational fluid dynamic simulation. So industry will need all the mathematician it can get if it is to survive and grow, and that means all our students who can learn a lot of exciting mathematics from industrial problem. So I have just given calculus basic concept. Now details can be studied by you, and then small application. Now any big application needs a lot of more complicated thing. Maybe complicated problem written in small parts, and one model may be connected to get the complete model. What is the time now? I think I have completed exactly 12.
Yes,
I
sir.
don't know. No. So what is that? What is that you're feeling here to see, and what is that you want to know further?
Yes, sir. So we have few questions from the participant side, sir.
Uh,
Shall I ask the question?
yeah. You can ask the question.
So Mr. Kabilan Rajagopal has asked, kindly distinguish tends to 0 and equal to 0 in calculus.
Equal to 0 is exactly the value at x is equal to 0. Tends to 0 is, if it is a one variable, it is left side you have to come towards 0, right side you have to come towards 0. You will never reach 0. You did not go to 0. Tends to 0 means you need not go to 0. Equal to 0 means you are at 0. Very simple English meaning. Tend to 0 means you only tend to 0, never go to 0. Equal to 0 means you are at 0. Don't see left, right, anything. Now, when the function is continuous, both match. For limiting value, you need not think of anything, only tend to 0. Limit at that point value is not important because the definition itself less than symbol is there, left side. That symbol will not be there in many books. That's the reason it is a problem. What I shown that beginning slide, you just see beginning slide definition I was taking. This left side here the definition is there, the down of this left side. This part is not there in many books, so people have doubt. See, here is the example you see. Here at x is equal to 1, it is a 4. So these two functions are not equal. This function not equal. These two functions are not equal, but their limit is equal at x into 1. Okay?
Yes, sir. Next, Ms. Joyanta Pal has asked, can you please explain uniform continuity?
Yeah, uniform continuity is not written here. What is the meaning of uniform continuity is with simple mathematical idea. For a given epsilon, if you go to find delta, then delta will depend on x as well as epsilon. If epsilon is 0.1, delta may be 0.5 depending on different x. Suppose you take the function fx is equal to x, then it is uniformly everywhere same because it is linear, we can show that. But main understanding is this delta in general depend on epsilon as well as x naught. Delta depend on x naught and epsilon in continuity. But uniform continuity only on epsilon. That is enough. So uniformly continuous, that is a different part. So main understanding is for uniform continuous function, delta only depends on epsilon. You can take example and see. Very easy. Delta depends in general for any normal continuity, epsilon and x naught both. Where you are interested to know the continuity, that point also important. But for uniform continuity, it is uniform everywhere, so point is immaterial. So delta only depends on epsilon. If delta depends only on epsilon, then we say that it is uniformly continuous.
Yes, sir. So next question, Dr. O.V. Shanmuga has asked, can we use calculus and artificial intelligence?
Yeah, calculus is anywhere instant rate of change is there. Calculus is used, artificial intelligence, everywhere it has to be used because algebra cannot be used many places. Wherever there is a rate of change, variation is measured at a spot, then calculus has to be used. Calculus is the fifth operation. We have 4 operation plus, minus, into, and division 4. With 4 operation, all mathematics has stopped somewhere. Once calculus came, it has enlarged everywhere. After calculus came in picture, limit concept, then only the limit concept, then only everything can be connected. Physics, mathematics, everything. So after that, it is without control, it is going everywhere. So in all the subject, there is a calculus.
Okay.
You have to find out where it is because anywhere, nowhere you are finding average. Average, constant rate, these are all things is related to algebra.
Yes.
Okay, algebra, calculus, everything merge in topology. Everything is merged finally.
Yes.
Calculus is basic, it is required everywhere to understand the limiting concept.
Yes, sir. So we have questions related to that topic, that is whether it can be used for food processing, calculus. So you have answered to all those questions, sir.
Yeah, food processing is there, no? That temporary micro oven also we have given 2-dimensional.
Yes,
Calculus everywhere. Any problem you take, car is moving, anything, cycle is moving, everywhere calculus only. Because there is some quantity is changing with respect to another quantity. That's all the calculus tells.
yes, sir.
It is a continuous process. Any continuous process, calculus has to be there.
Yes, sir. Next participant, Mr. P.M. Tirukumaran has asked, what is the application of mathematical induction and how eigenvalue and eigenvector are used in material science?
See, eigenvalue, this is not a part of my thing now. But eigenvalue, what is the important of this eigenvalue, eigenvector, and normalization of matrices? These are all why it is done. Engineering student will ask frequently that why I have to study matrix diagonalization and all these things. See, once a 3-dimensional body, you are giving stress from different direction. Okay. Any bridge, suppose some bridge is there, wind will give stress, you are walking on that, car is going, many stress is there on a 3-dimensional body. Now, how much stress it can tolerate. How do you find out? What is the maximum limit you will do? How much? So that strength of the concrete, how much you should give. Now, if you take a data and get some scattered data, x direction, 2, 3 component, you get a matrix of stress is a matrix that I think all these engineering fellows knows. Now, in this matrix of stress, you have all component. Now, that component, if you put it in diagonal form, then stress, you add the stress matrix they call directly. Diagonal value, eigenvalues, if you add, that is the maximum stress at a time it can apply in any material. So sum of the diagonal value is the maximum value of each component of force can be applied. So for anything, eigenvalue analysis is very much important, because once other component projected on the principal diagonal component, that much stress you should able to sustain the material, otherwise the material will break. Because if you just see, oh, somebody is working, somebody is happening, so these 2-3 things if you model, it will not work. You have to get all the practical data, then you have to normalize the matrix, diagonalize the matrix stress, and then you see the maximum. If it is maximum eigenvalue is 5, then you should measure that 5 should be the strength of the material in unit. Otherwise, in one situation it will come 5 and it will break.
Yes.
Okay. So any material sustainability, this is the diagonalization of matrix is very important.
Sure.
Properties of those.
Yes, sir. We'll take up the last question, sir. Dr. P. Nedumaran has asked, can we apply calculus to predict COVID-19 spread through model?
Yeah, we have model. You have time to see how calculus is applied in. Recently, I have evaluated some thesis of IIT Bhubaneswar. You want to see the, I can share that slide?
Yes,
calculus, how it is applied to COVID-19. Just model you see. I'll see whether you can find out or delete it. Where is this?
Or you can mail to us, sir. We can send them the details along with.
No, this just I can tell that. Oh, screen sharing has gone. Anyway, screen sharing is not required. Now, what I can tell that this calculus, the Lokta-Volterra equation, pre-predictor model, the same thing. They'll do the one is infective persons, another is total persons who is not infected and all. So now you rate of change of infected person, rate of change, how the infected person number is increasing, that depends on how many not infected also, how many infected their product. So you have to find out only how the rate of infection is going. So di dt is equal to how many not infected, how many infected, both product you have to use. So it is like a pre-predictor model only. Both are important. Who are not infected also important, who are infected also important related to this. And then out of that infected minus the death person. So this is the model they will do, and then they will find out. And you see the COVID-19, it has started on March, and it is going March, April, May, June, 4 months suppose. Now, in 4 months also, we have not reached a peak. What is the meaning of peak? Now, normal curve, once you reach the peak, another half is another 4 months. So you can easily say that July, August, September, October, by November also, it is not going to be 0. It may take more than this. If today is the peak, then it is November. Now you also don't know that today is not the peak. Peak is, they are telling itself July. So December is confirmed. Up to December, they are in the minimum. This is the mathematical model immediately will say to you that up to December is there. Common sense will say. Before December, nothing going to happen. Now in between, if vaccine comes and it spread all this, that also, that is other. This is RNA virus. I don't think vaccine will come in 2-3 months. So all student you tell to get practice with their self-study, self-study, self-confidence, self-understanding. Nothing else will work. And this one, who is the first in the lecture, direct lecture, he may become the last. I will tell you. Some student class 10 topper, he will definitely not be topper in class 12. Similarly, now the board has changed. Mode completely changed. If online mode goes another 6 months, who are all the topper, they can become the last, because you don't know who has which quality. So you have to improve your quality. Once you improve your quality, then only you will see the result. So other people should not think that he is the last always. He can be the first now in this situation. Okay, so now it is all your alone self-study is important. You have to understand everything is available. Everything is available. You have to study.
Yes.
Even if you want some joke, also it is not a joke. One true fact. One student I asked after completing class 10 exam. Anyway, now you are going for IIT. You have to study a lot for IIT entrance exam and all this, that, so many things. The student simply replied, I think after 10 years, IIT all will close. Then I thought, why he is telling like that? The student is, you cannot neglect anybody. People have some thinking. He told after 10 years, IIT will be closed. Anyway, I was not happy because I was not unhappy because I will be retiring within 10 years. So no problem. So he has given some rough time. Within 10 years, all IIT may close.
Yes.
Because he is telling you, give me a high speed mobile internet connection phone, I can learn anything in the world. I don't need to go to engineering college also.
Yes.
So the student, if somebody wants to learn something, he did not listen something. Only he has to decide that everything is available to you. You want to make a car, all things are available theory in the internet itself. Only you have to understand, you have to deeply study, you have to get understanding, self-understanding. If you have that self-confidence, you can go ahead. So these online mode, people have to switch on. They cannot keep quiet, wait for teacher will come and then they'll explain and they'll bunk the class. All this is gone. Now they have to study on their own. Better let them practice.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we are happy to have a great session from you, sir. Now we have Dr. V. Dinakaran, a professor, Mechanical Engineering Department, to thank you, sir. So over to you, sir.
Yes. Sir, thank you so much. So you have related more of the equations with the real-time columns, which will certainly help the students to understand the calculus. Because without calculus, nothing can move in engineering. So I have realized, even though I am from mechanical engineering, so I took 3 years to integrate a simple integral calculus equation, and I have published a paper at the end of 3 years. So that much relativity can be obtained from mathematical equation, especially from calculus. So calculus, if you understand the concepts, it will be like anything. So you can feel a pleasure by understanding the calculus equations. So I have enjoyed a lot, and in fact, in CET we used to one thing, sir. So all the first years, what we will do, first year itself, the first semester, I used to take one class, how the physical significance of mathematics can be felt, how we can extract the physics from the mathematical equations. So that type of one class I used to teach to all the students to understand, because first year itself, the students used to ask, sir, what is the need of studying mathematics again after coming to engineering? The students may not be understanding the things. So we used to teach like that. Sir, thank you so much for a wonderful time. So you have given a lot of information. Certainly, this will be useful for the students to get into further, and for the faculties, this will help to go for a real-time teaching, and for the researchers, certainly this will help to apply this concept for the research. Thank you so much, sir. We will meet.
Okay, thank you. All the best.
Thank you, sir.